name is Melissa Hurt, and in this video, I'm going to show you some exercises and daily practices that you can do to help heal diastasis recti. This is an accompanying video to the first one I made for moms who have kids of all ages, from babies to teenagers. This condition can affect women for years. It also affects men, by the way. So hopefully you'll find some good daily practices that can help heal that separation in your abdominal muscles. So first I'm going to talk about how to sit in a chair. So most chairs have a rounded kind of slump back. When you sit in a chair, it's very easy to kind of hang back like this, right? So in diastasis recti, because we have this separation in the front of the abdominal muscles, sitting like this where the spine is flexed forward, it's just kind of smushing the top and the bottom of the rectus abdominal muscles toward each other, which is making the sides separate further. So if you can recall those really cool plastic oval coin purses from the 1980s that they still make today, I've seen them some places here and there, but when you squish the top and the bottom together, the purse separates and then you can get your coins out. That is basically what's happening with your rectus abdominal muscles when you sit slumped, all right? Same thing happens when you're doing crunches and curl-ups. If you have this condition and you're doing crunches and curl-ups, all you're doing is just further separating and aggravating this condition. So first rule, if you have determined you have diastasis recti, don't do those. Don't do the curl-ups and the sit-ups and the crunches. Not safe, okay? Because if you do, you are really adversely affecting the pressure inside your abdominal cavity, and you could be exacerbating the condition and possibly leading yourself to getting a hernia. So don't do that. So what do we do in a chair then? You want to sit up tall. Find those little knobs at the base of your pelvis. Those are your sits bones. And you want to sit so you're nice and balanced on them. Feel how you can honor the natural curve of the low back. When you're sitting nicely on your sits bones, you want to feel your shoulders are nice and broad and open, and your shoulders are in line with your hips. Crown of your head is floating up as if there's a balloon attached to it. You're floating up nice and long. And by sitting this way, and I'll turn my chair so you can see, you've got a nice integrity of the rectus abdominal muscles. You're keeping two sides of the muscle in line with one another all the way down, whereas if you're slumped, see how my hands, I was just tracing that line of the muscle and it's separated. So keep it together. Now this is very important for nursing mothers to remember in particular, because it's very common to nurse your baby and to slump and round back. It's very comfortable, I understand it, I did it myself. Please use a breastfeeding pillow. You could even use a sofa cushion. Just lay it on your lap, lay your baby there to help bring the baby to the breast so you can stay upright and long and honor a really healthy postural alignment while seated in a chair. So once you find that, also, I want to point out that as you're sitting in a chair, you don't only acknowledge a nice natural curve to the spine, but your lower ribs, this is important, you want to knit them in while also getting long and tall through the thoracic spine. That's the spine that's basically at your rib cage. All right, so that's important. If you're sitting up nice and tall, but you're doing so to thrust your lower ribs forward, again, you're just encouraging a separation up here. This is part of your rectus abdominal muscles. Bring in the lower ribs, bring up the upper back thoracic spine so you can again keep the integrity of the rectus abdominal muscles. Yes, you will feel your deep core muscles working to sustain this alignment. That's a good thing. We do want to rehabilitate our core muscles. Our core muscles are on all sides of the body. They're in the front, the sides, the back, the pelvic floor, the breathing diaphragm. I personally consider your inner thigh muscles and your feet part of the core, but I'll make a video on that another time. So sitting in a chair, lower ribs knit in, shoulders, hips in line with each other, a sense of floating through the crown of the head, right? Can you then sustain this while standing? So you'll come to stand, use your leg muscles to stand. I'll move my chair. Now if you're standing and you tend to lock your knees, your hips are going to come out, you're protruding your abdomen, and lo and behold, you've encouraged that separation of those muscles again. At the same time though, if you're slumping and tucking your tailbone under, then you've got that coin purse pooch happening. We don't want that either. So can you find, again, keeping a softness in the knees, connected through to your feet, and there's a sense of floating. Imagine an upright parenthesis, an elongated parenthesis of energy coming through the hollows of the knees, all the way up the back line of the body, through the crown of the head. So you're honoring an energetic softness while grounded down through to your feet, lifting through the crown of the head. Lower ribs are still knit in. This is actually very comfortable, so try it. You could practice this any time of day, whether you're cooking, whether you're at the supermarket, whether you're standing in line watching your child wait for a swing at the playground, whatever it is. You could sustain this standing practice to see how it feels. Once you can keep that while standing, then you want to come to sitting on the floor. We sit on the floor a lot as moms to play with our kids. Please sit on a folded blanket when you do so. I'm sitting on a nice wool yoga blanket. If you don't have one, this is a sofa cushion. You could sit on the edge of a sofa cushion. Now, why are we sitting on something? Because for most people, we have weakness in the back line of our body. And putting the sits bones on the edge of a surface like a folded blanket or a cushion elevates the pelvis just enough so that we can honor the natural curve of the lumbar spine. This makes it a lot easier for me to not slump back, again, encouraging that separation. I want to sit upright and tall, again, energy going through the crown of the head. I'm keeping that integrity of the rectus abdominal muscles going up and down. Lower ribs knit in. That's an awareness you have to just retain for yourself. Okay, so we've got that. And as you play with your child, reading books with your child, whatever it is you're doing on the floor, just keep this in mind. You're not going to stay up here and stay rigid because then you're not breathing. Breath is very important for healing diastasis recti, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a sec. Just play. Turn to reach, do things with your kid, have a good time. Just try to not stay slumped. That's the thing, all right? So now, what's a practice that we can do every day to help heal this condition? I call it the birthday candle breath. We've all done this. This is a familiar event for us. So imagine you have a birthday candle about 6 feet away from you, and you want to blow it out, not with force, but with focus. So you'll take a nice breath in, find this postural alignment, blow out the candle in a steady stream. All the way out. Breathe in, steady stream out. Now look at the sides of my body. I'm going to breathe in. See that expansion? That expansion happens all around, front, sides, and back. You want to feel that too. Focus, steady stream, birthday candle breath out. Once you're empty, pulse it. And just come to natural breathing. So what does this have to do with the rectus abdominal muscles? Well, you may have felt when you have that steady, focused exhalation, your whole body hones and it just contracts inward towards the midline of your body. That's your transverse abdominis muscle. It's the most recessive or most interior abdominal muscle, and it's one of the muscles of your core. So as you're breathing out, that's like a corset, and it's pulling you in. And as you're doing that, of course, these muscles, everything's connected, they come together and they draw in. And then the pulsing at the end just further strengthens your connections, okay? When you're doing this with postural alignment, you're helping to teach your body how to integrate an orientation in space and your breath that you can carry with you for your daily life. So do the birthday candle breath every day, as often times as you can really. It's just breathing, so it's not going to hurt you. Just keep doing it with awareness of how you're seated or standing. And the last exercise I wanted to share with you are side bends. So the side bends are going to target the muscles that are just neighboring the rectus abdominis. It's the obliques. So we have internal and external oblique muscles, and they can get very tight, especially if you're holding your baby on one hip. You may feel if you just do a little side bend here, this gets firm. The other one's maybe a little soft. Same thing over here, hiking up one hip. So one thing to know is please work your best to avoid doing that. Hold your baby in the front as much as possible so you can balance the load of your child as you hold him or her. But we want to lengthen the oblique muscles, because if these are nice and long and stable, then they can better support the healing of their neighboring muscles, the rectus abdominis muscles. If they're really tight, they're just going to grip onto their neighbor and make it harder for you to heal. Does that make sense? So let's lengthen them. We're just going to find our postural alignment, place one hand down, reach up and over, and just get some nice length. Now, I'm not slumping forward. I'm not arching my self backwards. I'm just getting a nice, even side bend. Natural breathing. Just relax and enjoy the opening of the side line of the body. And we'll inhale both arms up, and then bring down the other hand and just do a nice side bend. You may feel that one side is tighter than the other. That's normal and natural, don't worry about it, but we do want to work to having equal balance to both sides. So you can do side bends when you're sitting on the floor with your child. Do the birthday candle breath. These are practices that you can do every day, and you don't have to stress yourself out finding the time to do it. Do it whenever you're able, okay? So if you like what you saw, please subscribe to my channel. Please share this really useful and important information with your friends, especially if you're in a mom's group and you feel like maybe some of them have a lot of low back pain, pelvic pain, or some of them have expressed a concern about having a hernia. This might be useful for them as well. So share it widely on your social media outlets. Please comment below how these exercises worked for you. Any questions you have, you can comment below and I will answer them. You can always opt in to my monthly newsletter through my website, melissahurt.com. You'll get some really useful tips from me every month, and you can also communicate with me through my website. There is a link to an accompanying blog post below that explains these a bit more, and you can also share that as well. Thank you so much. Be well.